Hello students, welcome back to Don Bosco PU College Chitradurga, first PUC Biology Brief course. In the previous class, we are discussed the one chapter called as a breathing and exchange of gases. So in this chapter, we discussed in the previous class what is the respiration with the types like direct respiration, indirect respiration. After that, external, internal, cellular respiration. And also we discussed the respiratory organs as well as the structure of human respiratory system and also mechanism of breathing in that inhalation and exhalation. So now we are move on to the one more topic called as a respiratory value. Respiratory value. The amount of air taken in and given out can be measured and expressed in respiratory volumes by using a spirometer or spirometry. In that first one, the tidal value, TV, the amount of air taken in and given out during normal breathing is called as a tidal value. It is about 500 ml. Then inspiratory reserve volume, it refers to maximum amount of air that can be taken into the lungs after deepest inhalation. This air is called complemental air and it is about 3000 ml. Next, expiratory reserve volume ERV. It refers to the maximum amount of air that can be flushed out into the atmosphere after deepest exhalation. This air is called supplemental air and it is about the 1200 ml. Next, vital capacity VC. It is the amount of air can be flushed out forcefully from the lungs after the deepest inhalation. It is the sum total of tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, and expiratory reserve volume. It is about 4,500 to 5,000 ml. When we are going to calculate 500 plus 3,000 is equal plus 1,200 is equal to 4,700 ml. The water capacity is 4,700 ml. Then the residual volume, the amount of air remained in the lungs even after the deepest exhalation and is about 500 to 1000 ml. Hence the lungs never becomes empty. Okay, this is about the sum respiratory value. Next, exchange of respiratory gases. The exchange of respiratory gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide between alveoli and tissue cells, vice versa. This exchange of oxygen carbon dioxide is mediated by blood. The exchange of gases is due to differences in the partial pressure of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the two regions. First, external respiration. The exchange of respiratory gases between the alveoli and blood is called external respiration. So here what happens, the partial pressure of oxygen in the alveoli is 105 mmHg, whereas in the blood is 40 mmHg. Hence, the oxygen diffuses from the alveoli into blood until the partial pressure of oxygen increases to 105 mmHg. Likewise, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the alveoli is 40 mmHg, whereas in the blood it is 45 mmHg. Therefore, the carbon dioxide diffuses from the blood into alveoli until the partial pressure of carbon dioxide of blood decreases to the 40 mmHg. Second, the internal respiration. The exchange of respiratory gases between blood and tissue cells is called internal respiration. Here what happens, the partial pressure of oxygen in the blood is 105 mmHg as we know already, whereas in the tissue cells it is 40 mmHg. Thus the oxygen diffuse from the blood into the tissue cells until the partial pressure of oxygen of blood reduces to 40 mmHg. In turn, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the tissue cells is 45 mmHg, whereas in the blood is 40 mmHg. Thus, the carbon dioxide diffuses from tissue cells into the blood until the partial pressure of carbon dioxide of the blood increases to 45 mmHg. So, very simple. During the external respiration, what happens, the two types of pressure we are going to, partial pressure of oxygen, partial pressure of carbon dioxide. The partial pressure of oxygen in the alveoli is 105 mmHg. The partial pressure of a blood is nothing but the 40 mmHg. So what happens, during the external respiration, the oxygen diffuses from alveoli into blood until the partial pressure of oxygen increases to 105 mmHg. Same way, the partial pressure of oxygen in the blood is 105 mmHg. In the tissue also 40 mmHg. During the internal respiration, the oxygen diffuses from blood into the tissue cells until the partial pressure of oxygen of blood reduces to the 40 mm. In this way, what happens, the oxygen is enter into the alveoli into blood during the external respiration. During the internal respiration, the oxygen is enter from blood to the tissue cells. Then the transportation of respiratory gases. The respiratory gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide are transported by blood from the lungs to the cells, vice versa. The transportation of oxygen, first one, how it is transport. The hemoglobin, it is a respiratory pigment present in the RBC which has great affinity towards the oxygen. It transports about 96% of oxygen. Each molecule of hemoglobin contains 4 atoms of iron and each atom of iron carries a molecule of oxygen. During the transportation, each molecule of hemoglobin combines with 4 molecules of oxygen and forms unstable molecule called as a oxyhemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin. There is about 15 milligram of hemoglobin present in 100 ml of blood, which can be transport about 2 ml of oxygen. This is called as oxygen carrying capacity of hemoglobin. When the blood reaches the tissues, oxyhemoglobin dissociates and giving up of oxygen to the cells. The hemoglobin returns back into the lungs to repeat the process. Very simple. The hemoglobin is a respiratory pigment which having a 4 iron atoms are there. Each iron atoms able to attract the a oxygen molecule. When the hemoglobin having a iron atom, those are able to holds the oxygen. The hemoglobin, when it is combines the oxygen to form a oxyhemoglobin. In this way, what happens, the oxygen is transport each and every blood as well as the body cells. Then the transport of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is continuously produced within the cells as waste products of oxidative metabolism. The carbon dioxide thus produced is transported from cells to the lungs by blood. It is transported by plasma and RBCs. Carbon dioxide is transported by the blood in three forms as a carbonic acid, carboaminohemoglobin, and bicarbonates. So, here the transportation of oxygen is only one way, that is called a oxyhemoglobin. By hemoglobin able to carry the oxygen, but the transportation of carbon dioxide is by both plasma and RBCs of blood. But the carbon dioxide is able to goes outside in three way. One is the carbonic acid way, carboaminohemoglobin way, and bicarbonates. First one, when come to the carbonic acid by blood plasma, how the carbon dioxide is goes or transported or goes outside as a carbonic acid by blood plasma. About 10% of carbon dioxide dissolve in the water of plasma to form carbonic acid. 10% of carbon dioxide dissolve in the water of plasma to form a carbonic acid, and is carried to the lungs where it dissociates and giving up carbon dioxide to the lungs. So there is a one form, the carbon dioxide is goes outside in the form of carbonic acid by second one as carboaminohemoglobin. In the RBC, about 20% of carbon dioxide combines with the amino group of hemoglobin to form a carboaminohemoglobin. On reaching lungs, it dissociates to giving up carbon dioxide to the lungs. So in the what happens in the RBC, 20% of carbon dioxide able to transport. In the RBC, what happens? The carbon dioxide is combined with the amino group of hemoglobin to form a carboaminohemoglobin. So in this way, what happens? The blood, the carbon dioxide is able to transport 10% by carbonic acid by the blood plasma. Second, that 20% as carboaminohemoglobin by RBC. Third, as bicarbonates. Nearly 70% of carbon dioxide transported in the form of bicarbonates. Firstly, the carbon dioxide diffused in RBC and combined with water to form a carbonic acid, and this carbonic acid is catalyzed by an enzyme called carbonic anhydrase. What the carbonic acid is formed, that carbonic acid in the RBC splits to form a hydrogen as well as a bicarbonate ions. The concentration of negatively charged bicarbonate ions become more and more in RBC, which diffuses into the blood plasma. In order to maintain the ionic balance, the chloride ions diffuse from plasma into the RBC. Then the outward movement of bicarbonate ions in the form of RBC into the blood plasma, the inward movement of chloride ions from plasma to RBC. This movement we are called as a chloride shift or Hamburger's effect. What happens when the chloride ions diffuses from plasma into the RBC? The outward movement of bicarbonate ions from RBC into plasma is taken place. Likewise, in inward movement of chloride ions from plasma to the RBC. So in this what happens, there is opposite direction, the chloride as well as ions are taken place from a RBC to plasma, plasma to RBC. This is called the chloride shift or Hamburger's effect. The bicarbonate ions in the plasma combine with sodium ions form a sodium bicarbonate. On reaching to the lungs, these bicarbonate dissociates and give carbon dioxide to the lungs. Finally, the chloride ions in the RBC combine with potassium ions to form a potassium chloride. Potassium chloride. So, in this way, what happens? First of all, what happens? Carbon dioxide combines with the water to form a bicarbonate. So, the carbon dioxide combines combines to the water, then it becomes bicarbonate. The bicarbonate it splits. Sorry, the carbon dioxide combines with the water to form a carbonic acid. Then the carbonic acid able to split bicarbonic anhydride enzyme to form a hydrogen and bicarbonate ions. The bicarbonate ion is combined with the sodium to form a sodium bicarbonate. Finally, the potassium and chloride ions to form a potassium chloride. So in this way, the carbon dioxide is transported and enter into the lungs to the outside the body. Then next, see the transportation of oxygen. Here only one way is by hemoglobin. The transportation of carbon dioxide here one is as carbonic acid by blood plasma, as carbaminohemoglobin, and as bicarbonates. Finally, the disorders of respiratory system. First one, asthma. Difficulty in breathing causing a wheezing due to the inflammation of bronchi and bronchioles is called as a asthma. The repeated coughing we are going to see as a symptom. Then emphysema, a chronic disorder in which alveoli walls are damaged due to which respiratory surface is decreased. It is caused due to the smoking. Third, occupational. So here the spelling mistake there. Occupational respiratory disorder. The occupational respiratory disorder, how it is taken place? First one, in certain industries like grinding, polishing, and stone breaking continuously. So in this what happens? We are going to see the a respiratory disorder, occupational respiratory disorder. The sound what the what the a respiratory system is there, it become very weak. Then the workers exposed to the dust continuously suffer from the inflammation of lungs, which leads the fibrosis. Fibrosis is nothing but the proliferation of fibrous tissue. Then this occupational respiratory disorder causes a serious lung damage. Especially the workers in such industries must undergo this type of disorder, but better to wear protective mask. So this is about the transportation of gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide during the external respiration as well as the internal respiration. How the carbon dioxide is able to transport it, how oxygen is able to transport it. How the oxygen is able to transport. So this is about the breathing and exchange of gases. And finally, the disorders of respiratory system like asthma, emphysema, and a occupational respiratory disorder. The major thing is nothing but in this process, the oxygen is enter inside the body, carbon dioxide goes outside the body. The question is why the oxygen is needed. What is the role of oxygen? Why the animals or all the living organisms need the oxygen? Oxygen is very useful or needful to break down the glucose molecule inside the cell. When the oxygen able to break down the glucose molecule, then only energy able to releases. How much the body cells uh, required for the normal growth and development process. That much amount of energy is utilized by the body cells. Remaining excess amount of energy is stored in the form of ATP, especially in the mitochondria, so that the mitochondria we are called as powerhouses of cells. So this is about the breathing and exchange of gases. In the next class, we are going to discuss one more topic, one more human physiological topic called as a human circulatory system. Okay, thank you.